On a cold, silent night, Adam sat alone in his small, cluttered room. The dim light of an old lamp cast long, wavering shadows across the walls. Dust-covered books leaned against each other on the shelves, some yellowed with age, others so pristine they seemed untouched by time. Outside, the wind whistled through the trees, their branches tapping against the window as if trying to get his attention. Adam usually enjoyed the night, the quiet, the solitude. But tonight, something felt wrong. A heaviness pressed against his chest, and a shiver ran down his spine, making the hair on his arms stand on end. The room didn't feel like his own. It felt alive watching him. Then he heard it. A faint rustle across the floorboards. Not the wind, not the old house settling footsteps. Slow, purposeful, coming closer. The lamp flickered violently, and the shadows on the walls stretched and warped. Adam's heart raced. "It's just my imagination. Just shadows," he whispered, though his voice trembled. But then from the darkest corner of the room came a voice, low, guttural, almost a hiss. "Adam, I'm here." Adam froze, every muscle in his body locked. His eyes darted around, trying to locate the source, but the corner seemed darker than darkness itself. He tried to move, to speak, to call for help, but nothing came. His body refused to obey. The shadow started to move, slowly detaching from the wall. It glided toward him, amorphous and thick, like smoke with intent. Adam tried to scream, but the sound died in his throat. The air grew colder, heavier, pressing against him like icy hands. Then he heard it again, footsteps behind him. He spun around, heart hammering, but the room was empty. Yet the sensation of someone, or something, was there, brushing against his skin, breathing down his neck. He lunged for the lamp, but it wouldn't light. His phone flickered once, then died. Panic surged through him. The shadow had grown closer, more defined. A shape, vaguely human, faceless, yet radiating malice. It raised an arm, pointing directly at him. Adam felt a wave of dizziness. The floor seemed to sway, elongate, twist beneath his feet. He tried to run to the door, but each step brought him back to the center of the room. The walls had grown taller, twisting inward, closing him in. The voice came again, this time inside his mind, louder, commanding, "Do not move, or you will remain here, forever." Adam could feel the presence of countless others now, like whispers brushing against the edges of his awareness. Shadows materialized at the corners of the room, formless at first, then slowly taking human-like shapes. Hundreds, then thousands, surrounding him in a silent, suffocating mass. Their eyes, or the hollow voids where eyes should be, locked onto him. Their intentions were clear: rage, hatred, torment. The room itself seemed to breathe with them. The air grew thick, choking, and Adam could barely draw a breath. He shut his eyes, hoping this was a nightmare. When he opened them again, the room had changed. The walls were taller, the ceiling higher, stretching endlessly. The shadow in the corner was no longer alone. It had multiplied, creeping toward him, merging with the others, forming a dark wave of shapes that advanced silently, inexorably. Then came the laughter, a deep, hollow, bone-chilling sound that echoed through the void. With each laugh, the temperature dropped further, frost creeping along the walls, biting his skin. He tried to scream again. Nothing. He tried to run. He was already moving in place. A hand grabbed his shoulder, cold, unrelenting, freezing his blood. The shadows circled, pressing closer, whispering their voices blended. Somehow he understood. You cannot escape. You will not. Adam closed his eyes, tried to imagine light, warmth, safety. But when he opened them, he was floating in darkness. No floor beneath him, no walls around him. The shadows were everywhere. They reached for him, fingers stretching like smoke, merging with him. He screamed inside his mind, a soundless, desperate plea. whisper, soft, gentle. Adam, come to bed. Sunlight spilled into the room. He was back in his bed, trembling, soaked in cold sweat. His heart pounded. The lamp lay shattered on the floor. The shadows were gone, or so he thought. From that day on, Adam never slept in darkness again. Every light in the house burned through the night. Every shadow in the corners was watched. He had learned that some presences never forget. And some nights, when the wind blows just right, he can still hear their whispers calling his name. And sometimes, in the corner of his eye, he sees a faceless figure standing silently, smiling. Days passed, but Adam could not shake the feeling that he was still being watched. Even in daylight, shadows seemed to cling to the corners of his room. The sunlight brought no comfort. Sometimes it made the darkness look deeper, as if the shadows had learned to hide in plain sight. On the fourth night after the first encounter, Adam sat at his desk trying to read, but the air felt thick, suffocating. A faint whisper crawled along his ears, like the rustling of dry leaves calling his name. Adam, come, back. He turned sharply, expecting to see someone, but the room was empty. The lamp flickered, though it was plugged in and working fine. Then the mirror on his wall began to vibrate ever so slightly. He blinked. Just a trick of the light? No. Something was moving. In the mirror, his reflection did not quite match his movements. The reflection lagged by a second, smiling when he did not. Panic surged through him, and he realized the figure in the mirror was not just a reflection. It was something else. Something trapped, waiting. A sudden gust of wind burst through the room, though all the windows were closed. Papers flew, books toppled. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls, bending and twisting as if alive. Adam's heartbeat thundered in his ears, matching the thumping of invisible footsteps. Then he heard it, the whispering chorus, low and insistent. "You cannot leave. You belong to us." Adam ran toward the door. As he reached for the handle, the room seemed to stretch and twist again. The door vanished, replaced by a black wall that pulsed with shadows. The air grew icy. He could see the forms moving closer, humanoid but distorted, their limbs unnaturally long, their faces blank yet somehow aware. He backed away, tripping over a chair. A shadow lunged from the corner, passing through him like smoke, freezing his blood. He could feel its cold tendrils around his chest, tightening, suffocating. Desperate, Adam grabbed a flashlight from his drawer, flicking it on. The beam cut through the darkness, but the shadows multiplied in response, writhing and twisting away from the light. The reflection in the mirror grinned wider, stepping closer, as if crossing from the glass into reality. A loud bang echoed in the room, as if the walls themselves had slammed shut. The shadows screamed, an impossible, hollow scream that made Adam's teeth chatter. He covered his ears, but the sound seemed to penetrate his mind directly. In a moment of sheer terror, he saw a figure in the corner that was different from the rest. It was the first shadow he had seen that night, the one that had beckoned him. It raised its hand slowly, then pointed at him. Adam knew what it meant. He had a choice. Step forward and be taken into the darkness forever, or fight. But how could he fight something that was not there? He remembered the sunlight, remembered warmth, remembered life. He shut his eyes, focusing, imagining light, imagining every shadow burning away when he opened them. He was back in his bed again. Sunlight streamed through the window. His heart pounded. His lamp, though cracked, was glowing faintly. Then he saw it. His reflection in the glass of his closed window. The figure was there, smiling. The face just watching. In the distance, he could hear it, faint and unmistakable. Until next time, Adam learned that some shadows do not rest, some presences do not forget, and some corners of the world are not meant to be lit. Every night he left a small light on, but he never slept peacefully. just right. He hears whispers, laughter, and footsteps creeping closer, calling his name, waiting for the moment he blinks.